Hi everyone, we are live right now with 8 people who have already joined. We'll just give a minute or so, थोड़े और लोगों को join करने देते हैं. If my voice is audible to you, please drop down a message or something. Hi guys, is my voice audible? Okay. Hi Chandru, is saying it's audible. Thank you. We will just wait for like a minute or so. Let people join, and then we will start the session. Hi Sanskar. So before we begin, guys, would you like to share कहाँ से आए हो आप लोग? Just to see. Good evening, Viru. Okay. So we have a few people who have joined the session. Let's start the session now. So hi guys, my name is Shiva, and okay, so Viru is saying he's from Maharashtra. Hi guys, I am Shiva and I am the host of this session for you guys. Today we are going to learn MongoDB in 2 hours. In this session, we are going to learn the fundamentals of MongoDB, understand how these modern applications store and manage data using NoSQL databases. The focus of this session would be to learn the structure, how documents are collected, how queries work, how MongoDB connects to the backend layer. In this session, we are going to learn how to build a terminal-based task manager, and then we will learn how the data is stored in MongoDB and what is the basic meaning and usage of a database. This session is going to be taught by Mr. Aman Gupta. So I don't want to delay anything. Let's welcome Aman to the chat. Okay. So hi Aman.
Hi Shiva. Hi Shiva.
Hi, कैसे हो आप?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fine. I am fine. So Aman, before we begin with the session, I would just like to introduce you to the students here. So guys, Aman is a software engineer here at Cypher Schools, and he has a lot of experience in managing data, backend, as well as our internal databases. So you guys are in good hands. Before we begin, Aman, I have a few questions for you. Um, so what what drives you, Aman? Like I have seen you working on backend. How did you got into MongoDB? Like why you chose MongoDB for backend?
Okay, so just as a quick introduction, I majorly work with MERN stack. If anyone who does not know what a MERN stack is, we use MongoDB, Node.js, React, and Express to build an entire full stack application. And as one of the core technologies of this MERN stack, right, is MongoDB. Initially, in my second year of college, I was introduced to MERN stack through YouTube channels, and from there, I started learning MongoDB, and yeah, that's how the entire journey began. And there are quite good amount of opportunities in MERN stack, and that is why MongoDB becomes a very useful skill for anyone who's looking for a job or an opportunity in full stack development in general. So that is one of the main reasons. That is one being the market requires it, and two, it's pretty simple. It's not very complex. We will be seeing in today's session how simple it is. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Got it. So Aman, in your experience, you have used MongoDB for quite a while now, I think. So, in your experience, have you ever thought that there might be some other platform which is better than MongoDB for database?
Uh, I wouldn't say so. I mean, every database has its advantages and disadvantages. But for all the use cases that we have done in our company in Cypher Schools, MongoDB has been more than enough and more very powerful for our use cases. So I didn't find any places where it lagged as such. But in general, for anyone who's let's say anyone who's starting or any new company that's building, right, or that is growing, MongoDB becomes a very good choice. So yeah.
Got it. So, Aman, I won't be taking much time. I will just handing over the screen to you, and you can go ahead and teach.
Got it. Thank you very much, Shiva.
Thank you.
All right, I'll just present my screen. Just a second, guys.
Aman, before we start, there's a question. So Viru
Okay.
is saying that the faculty guided them to choose Python because
Mm-hmm.
of the AI. So I am
Okay.
just pinning the question.
Okay.
He's asking if something that a Munstack will be better or the Django.
Okay, Biru. Well, it totally depends on you, if you which path you want to take. I mean, using Python also you can get into full stack development. Using Mern also you can get into full stack development, right? Different companies have different requirements, and there is no differentiation as such between the two as to you'll have to choose one, and that is when you'll get the job. So do not worry. Choose any path. If considering, I'm assuming that you are still a beginner, like let's say first year or second year of your college, so you don't really have to worry about which path you choose. Just make sure whichever path you're choosing, you just learn, deep into that language or technology. But regardless of anything that I say, both Python and Monstack in general, Django also have good opportunities in the market. So do not really worry about these things. I hope I answered your question. But if you have any doubts regarding this, just you can put a message here, and I'll be happy to answer. Okay. Considering that, let's start with the session. Okay. So in today's session, approximately in 2 hours, in the next 2 hours, we'll be learning what MongoDB is. Okay. Why do we use MongoDB? What is database? And all of that. Right. So let's get started. I hope my screen is present. If my screen is visible, if it is not, if it is visible, you can all put a yes in the chat. Chandru, Viru, Sanskar. Is my screen visible? Perfect. Great. Let's get started then. Okay. So before we get started with database as a concept, I all want to know, or I want to understand. Do you know what a data is? Do you have an idea what a data is? Can anyone just answer me in the chat very quickly? A short answer. Anyone? Anyone who has an idea what a data is? Okay, set of information. Got it. So you're right. It is data is nothing but information, right? Just a second. Data is nothing but information. Anything that we would like to store would be called as a data, right? For example, it could be your name, it could be your email, right? It could be your tasks, age, date of birth, whatever, right? Uh, okay, someone says a collection of structures, information. Okay, uh, that's quite accurate. But yeah, this is what data is. It is nothing but anything that you want to store is basically a data, right? Now, what is database? Can anyone tell me what a database is? Now that we have understood what a data is, can anyone tell me what a database is? Stores the data, retrieves the data. Okay, perfect. Database is nothing but something that stores the data or retrieves the data, right? That's quite correct. Anything that stores the data or retrieves the data, right? That is what you would call a database. And for anyone to understand, in the very simplest term, the very first or the one of the best examples for database would be telephone directories, right? It used to be available when we were kids, and our parents used to use this. uh, Telephone directory was like a handbook where address information and the phone telephone details of every person of a particular city was mentioned, and it was stored, right? So that can also be called as a database, right? So database is nothing but a place or a tool or anything where you can store data, retrieve data, update them, right? And all of that, basically manage data, right? So database is used for nothing but to manage data in the best way possible. Okay. Moving ahead. So we have how we store data like phone numbers, but let's come in terms of technology, or in terms of computer science, to be more precise. How do we store digital data? Okay. One of the ways which I can think of storing a digital data is storing it in a variable. Let's say whatever programming language you use. Let's say you use Java or C++, JavaScript, whatever language you're using. Probably we can have a variable where you can store data, right? For example, if you see my screen right now, I'm showing we are storing a data. Okay, it is nothing but it is an array where in the array we store two items, that is apple and banana, right? So this is one way of storing data onto your computer, right? The second way of storing data would be storing it in files. For example, you make a txt file, or let's say you make a csv file, excel file, google doc file, and you can store all the data over there, right? So that is also one way to store data in our computer, right? So I have one question for you all. Considering we have all of these ways, these specifically these two ways of storing data, right? Why should I use a database like MongoDB? I hope you all know MongoDB is nothing but a database. Why should I use a database if I can store data directly into the variables or the files? Does anyone have any idea regarding this? You can answer me in the chat. No one? I'm waiting. Okay, variables are stored locally. So Harsh says that variables are stored locally, so creates a problem when we want it online. Okay, all right. Anyone else? Database creates a structure or a proper manner. Okay, Viru says that it creates a structure in a proper manner. Data retrieval is fast. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, good answer, people. So let me tell you one reason, or multiple reasons as to why we don't do this, right? The very first reason why we don't do is don't do the first step, that is storing it in a variable. Is, let's say we store a user's data, right? For example, we store his email, we store his password, profile image, and everything in a variable. Okay. Let's say you run the program once, okay, and then you rerun the program because some issue happened. When you run the program for the second time, the entire data is gone, and you'll have to start with a blank slate, right? The data is not persistent. Okay, the data won't be persistent for a long duration of time. It will be erased once you rerun the program, right? If at all you've tried any programming language, you initialize a variable, right? And whenever you run the program, the variable is reinitialized again, right? If it is an empty array, it will be an empty array at the starting of the run of the program, right? That is the very first issue that I have with this method. That is, the data is not persistent. Okay. The second way that I've told you is storing it in files, right? Viru and I think Malik answered the answer quite right, right? That storing it in files. One, I do not have a proper structure, right? What do I mean by structure? Let's say I am writing the data in a very different format. I will first write the name, then I will write the email, then I will write the password. Let's say if there's another person who is storing the data, or any other developer, XYZ developer in my company, who's trying to store the data, he might write the email first, and then he might write the name, and then he might write the password, right? Now let's say if the third person or the third developer is trying to retrieve or fetch this data, how will the third developer know that first it is email and then the password? There is no structure in the way I store the data, right? Because of this, because of this, of course, I will be fetching the wrong data, right? And the chances of, or the margin of error is very high over here. Second, this will also make my retrieval of data very slow. Okay, so that is the major issue with storing it in files, right? So yeah, these are the two reasons why we have databases, or specific databases to store data, which one will have all of your data stored in a very structured format. Okay, there are certain set of rules which you'll have to follow and make sure that your data is stored in that particular structure. Two, the databases are designed in such a way, right? It is designed in such a way that fetching the data, adding the data, updating them, all of this is very fast, right? So these are the two advantages of using a database, and that is why database exists in the first place. Okay, so let's move ahead. Uh, just a second. Yeah. So like I told you, why we use a database. Data in the variable disappears whenever the server restarts. Like I told you, if you rerun the program, your data will disappear, right? Second, we need a permanent storage. None of these, that is storing it in a variable or in the files, would be a permanent storage. You can lose the data at any point of time. Databases provide you a way to back up your data as well, right? So these are the reasons why we use database. Third, database is able to handle huge amounts of data very efficiently. Let's say if there's your application that handles approximately 1 million users, right? So your databases will be able to handle so many data with very minimal efforts and very high efficiency. Okay, and they also allow multiple people to fetch the data very safely. Okay, let's say if you have any data stored in your database, you can also control who is able to access the data and who is not able to access the data, right? So the level of security is also very high over here. Okay, so these are the reasons why we use database. Okay, anyone who has any doubts so far, you can just drop a message in the chat and I'll be happy to answer. And if no one has any doubts, you can just put a good to go, and we'll move on to the next section. Is it clear, everyone? Good to go. Okay, Himanshu says good to go. All right, Harsh, thank you very much. Perfect. Now that we have understood what a database is, right, let's understand the different types of databases. Okay, so let me move on to the next slide. So if you see, there are two types of databases majorly. One being the SQL database, or it is also called relational database or sequential database. Other one being the NoSQL database or non-relational database, also called as non-sequential databases. Okay, the example for your SQL database would be MySQL, Postgres SQL, right? and all of these. And for NoSQL, you have MongoDB. You also have something called CockroachDB, which I got introduced to very recently. Okay, so no SQL and NoSQL, I'm assuming if at all you are a computer science students, you must have had heard of these at least in your first year or second year, right? And also probably studied about them a little bit, correct? So let's understand what is the difference between SQL and NoSQL database, and why is one used over the other. Okay, um, so let's move on to SQL database, right? So SQL database is nothing but your sequential database which stores the data in a table format. Okay, so if you see in the example here I have given, so we are trying to store the user's data, and we have a table for user data, right? What are the fields that we have in the table? We have their id, right? Id is one. Then we have first name, right? First name can be anything, whatever you store. There can be last name, there can be, let's say, cell number or phone number. Okay, and there can be city, right? So this is how a sequential database stores the data, right? Just like how your excel or csv file does, right? That is how it stores the data. Okay, now let's say I want to store the hobbies of every person, or every user that I'm putting in the user table, right? So I can store their id, sorry, the id of the table, of the data here. Okay, I can store the user id. Let's say this user has an id of 1. I can tell that user of id 1 has a scrapbooking hobby. Okay, eating waffles is a hobby, working is a hobby for them, right? So this is how you would store a data in SQL database, right? If you see here, we have a fixed schema here. Okay, why fixed schema? I will exactly tell you. Just give me a minute. Okay, what did I press? Okay, I hope my screen is visible. Okay, it is visible. So for example, we had a users collection, right? So we had a users database, right? Users table, right? Now, let's say I will store any particular user. Let's say the user ID is nothing but 1. Okay, keep it to the center. Okay, the name of the user is, let's say, Raj. Okay, and then we'll also store the email for the user, right? Let's say raj@mail.com. Okay, just some dummy email. Okay, and let's say this user, I'm also storing the phone number. Okay, phone number is 1234. Okay, doesn't have to be valid, I'm just using dummy values here. Okay, and then we can have a date of birth, let's say 02/05/2000, for example. Okay, that's his date of birth. And similarly, in this table format, we can store multiple users, right? User with ID 1, with ID 2, with ID 3, and so on, right? But let's say, uh, what did I mention here? I mentioned that the schema over here, or the data that you store here, has a fixed schema or a fixed structure. You cannot change it, right? Let's say I have decided that this is going to be my user. Let's say after 2 months, right? After 2 months of creating this user database, I decide that user can have 2 emails. I'm pretty sure you have an idea that a lot of applications allow you to have secondary email, right? For example, LinkedIn allows you to have secondary email. Even GitHub allows you to have secondary email, right? Or a backup email. Let's say I've decided to add a feature where I can let my user have a backup email or a secondary email. How will I add it here? I will have to add a new column altogether, right? I'll have to add a new column altogether over here, and probably name it as secondary email. Okay, and then add secondary email for every user, right? I'll have to add it for every particular user, right? And let's say secondary email is optional, of course, right? So some user don't have their email, so they can have a null value stored here, right? So you see the rigidness of your database or your schema. If you're willing to add a new field, right, you'll have to add an entire column for every particular user, right? You cannot update in the same field, which is quite difficult here, right? So this is one of the things about SQL database. The schema is very rigid. Okay, the schema is pretty rigid over here, and yeah, that is pretty much it. It uses rows and columns to store the data, and it requires join to connect the table. Okay, I will tell you what join operation is once we move on to the next section. Okay, um, right. Is everything clear up until now? Any questions regarding what SQL database is or what relational database is? Have you all understood how it stores the data? And let me know if my voice is clear, if you're able to understand my English, and if at all you want to change my you want me to change the pace of my teaching. I'll be happy to do that. Okay, Sanskar says yes, Viru says yes. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to the next section. But if at all you have any doubts, feel free to put it in the chat. All right. Moving ahead, let's understand what is non-sequential database or NoSQL database, right? Non-sequential database is opposite of sequential database. Here, where we store the data in a table format, right, where everything is very rigid. In a non-sequential database, we store it in the form of documents, right? Like, so if you see here, it has flexible schema. Okay, data is stored in a JSON-like format. Does anyone have an idea what JSON is? Anyone? If anyone knows what a JSON is, please feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, Harsh says file type. Okay, Viru says yes. Okay, Viru, can you tell me what a JSON is? Okay, no problem. Go ahead and tell the full form. That's fine. Okay, JavaScript object notation. Okay. It is like a folder, Ashutosh says. Okay, great, great. Okay, so JSON, like Sanskar told, or Sanskar mentioned, it stands for JavaScript object notation, right? In a lot of different languages, if you're coming from the background of C++ or Java, you might be familiar with the data type called. Okay, it's a dictionary type, so basically, computer doesn't understand normal data. Got it. Perfect. That's right. That's right. Okay, so if you're coming from any other programming languages background, you must have had heard of this data type called map, right? What map does, it stores nothing but your key value pair, right? Even if you see in the example that I've given here, what it is storing a key of ID, value of 1, key of first name, value of the name, key of the last name, key is the last name, and the value is name, right? So this is what a JSON format is. It stores your key value pairs, correct? Now, what MongoDB does is MongoDB doesn't store a JSON format, but it stores something called BSON format. Okay, if you see here, BSON format. Okay, it is very similar to JSON, but the only difference is that BSON is nothing but a binary notation of your JSON format, right? For us, what it would mean as a developer, for us, it wouldn't change anything. How we write JSON, that is how we would, the way we write JSON is how we would send it to the database as well. But your MongoDB would convert it into a BSON format and store it internally. Okay. So very important question from the point of, interview point of view is that they might ask you what BSON is. You'll have to know that it stands for nothing but binary JavaScript object notation. Okay. And it stores the JSON like object, it stores the JSON object in a binary format. Okay. And MongoDB does this internally. You don't have to do anything specific to it. Okay. So that is about the how MongoDB stores your JSON data or any data as a matter of fact. Okay. The next thing is There is no need for complex join operations. I will tell you about that. We'll go back to the drawing board and we'll understand that part. And it is faster prototyping for startups. This also we will understand in the drawing board. Okay, let's come back to the drawing board. If you see here, let's take the same example. Okay, let me remove the secondary email part. Okay, let's take the example of user table itself, right? So we have the user table where we have Raj, right? Let's try to implement the same data in a JSON or JSON format. Okay, so I'll just make a column here. I will create an object. Okay, so I have let's say ID would be 1. We have name would be Raj, and let's say we have last name. We don't have last name, right? We don't have last name. Let's keep email say raj@mail.com. Okay, let me just format this properly so it's clear for all of you. Okay, so this is your JSON or your data stored in a JSON like format. Okay, we have the user the user data stored in a JSON format. Okay, now what did I tell you? In the future, if I come back here and if I want to add let's say give an option to add secondary email, I'll have to add a column for every user, right? But over here in the JSON data, let's say I have it for 2 users. Okay, can I align this? Not sure if I can align this, but okay, doesn't matter. Let's say I have 2 users. Let's say let's take my name itself. Okay, we have 2 users. Let's say Raj now decides to have a secondary email or a backup email. So I will just have to add the secondary email in his collection, right? raj2@mail.com, correct? I don't have to do anything with the data being stored for my case. Just make it a little more big. Okay, I don't have to do any changes to the data that is being stored for me. I just have to update the data that is being stored for Raj. Okay, so that is one thing. Now let's say I also want to store something like let's say hobbies. Okay, I want to store something called hobbies. Okay, what will hobbies be? Hobbies will not be nothing but be nothing but it will be an array of hobbies, right? It can have multiple values. So can I store it in this table? This table which only takes single values, can I store an array of strings? It's really not possible in SQL, right? So for that, what will I have to do? I will have to create a new table. Okay, let's create a new table for hobbies, and let's say what will I have here? User ID. Okay, and I will have hobbies. Okay, I'll delete these two. Okay, right, I will have hobbies. Let's say the user ID is what is the user ID for Raj? It is 1. I will store 1 here. And what hobby he has? He has, let's say, hobby of studying or reading. Okay, he might also have a hobby of, let's say let's take his same user ID. He might also have a hobby of, let's say, working out, right? So I can store multiple values here, but I cannot store it in the same table as users. Okay, that is another restriction you have with respect to your SQL database, right? You will have to probably create a new table for every new set of data that you want to add. Okay. Now, what issue does this have? Let's say you're making a user dashboard or a profile page. Okay. What do you have to show in the profile page? You want to show the name, email, the phone number, date of birth, and you also want to show the hobbies. How will you show them? You will have to fetch the data from this table, first step. Then you will have to get the ID of the user. What is ID, sir? You might ask, sir, what is ID? ID is nothing but a unique, a reference number that is given to a particular data. Okay, let's say for example, you have registration number in your college, right, or your schools. That is nothing but a unique way to identify every student. So ID is nothing but a unique way or a unique value that is given to each data. So you can identify that data using that ID. Okay. So using this ID, which is provided to Raj, I will go and fetch all of his hobbies, right? So that is the second issue. If I decide to have new things or new things added to my database, I will have to create new and more tables. Okay. And how would you do this in SQL? You would do this by something called join operation. I'm not sure how many of you have. Okay. Okay. I'm so sorry, Sanskar. I'll zoom in a bit. Is it visible, everyone? I hope it is visible. Sanskar, Biru. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So in SQL, you will have to do something called join operation to join the data from users table and then join the data from hobbies table and then present it to your user in your dashboard or wherever you want to present it basically, right? So that is one thing. Now let's see how we will tackle the same issue in our non-sequential database or in MongoDB. Okay, I just copy this entire thing because this doesn't look nice. This seems better. Okay, now let's try the very same thing here. Okay, I want to store what, sir? I want to store nothing but hobbies. How will I do that? I will come over here in the Raj's data, and then I will add a new key value pair. What will I name the key value pair? I will name it hobbies. Okay. Now, what are hobbies? Hobbies is nothing but a list of all of the hobbies that Raj has. So how do you store the items in a list format? You use nothing but array. Okay, inside the array, I will store a string called reading. Okay, and then I will store a string called working out. Perfect. Now, how easy was it for me to do the same thing over here when you compare it to your SQL database, right? It was very, very much simpler than doing the same thing in your SQL database when you compare it with your non-SQL database, right? What did we do? We just added another field called hobbies, right? And we added our data over there. Similarly, I can do the same thing for for the second user. I can add more hobbies. Let's say his hobby is just reading. Done. Very simple, right? Over here, I do not have to do a join operation, fetch the data from another table or some other place. Everything is available for me in one single place. Okay. So that is that is what I mean by when I say there is no need of complex join operations. But whereas in SQL, you might require join operations to connect your tables, right? Is it clear so far? Did you all understand the difference between using an SQL database or non-sequential database? If it is clear, please mention good to go in the chat. If at all anyone has any questions, feel free to ask in the chat and I will be happy to answer. Good to go. Okay. All right. Others? Viru, Himanshu. Good to go. Good to go. Perfect. Okay. So these are the reasons why, basically the difference between your sequential and non-sequential database, right? Uh, what advantage does non-sequential database gives you is it helps you to prototype very fast when you compare it to a non-sequential database, right? And especially for if you're making a personal project and you're not specifically trying to show your SQL skills, it is much better for you to use your non-sequential database or MongoDB, right? Because you can prototype things very faster. If at all in between you decide, that I need to have this extra feature or this extra details to be stored, it is very easy to do that. Okay. So that is pretty much it with respect to what sequential and non-sequential database is. Okay. Now again, why would we use MongoDB? Is it stores data in a JSON-like format. Okay, like I told you, it's not exactly or entirely JSON. It is nothing but your BSON format. But we don't have to really do anything. MongoDB takes care of that. Okay. Since it is in JSON format, it is very easy for JavaScript developers to work with it. Okay. Now JSON is a format which is very well supported in JavaScript. Okay. That is why whenever you see a MERN stack developer or a Node.js developer, they are very much bound to using MongoDB rather than your sequential databases. Okay, because it is much easier in terms of just because MongoDB uses JSON. Okay, it has a flexible structure, which means it does not have a strict schema. So you can decide if at all you're deciding to update in between. It is very easy to do that. Okay, it is easier to scale. Okay, as in like I told you, in terms of in case of SQL database, you'll have to create multiple tables if at all you're deciding to add more and more data. That becomes difficult to scale if you're moving from one user to million users. But that is not the case in MongoDB, okay, or non-sequential databases. Okay, let's move ahead. Let's understand the basic terminologies when it comes to MongoDB. Okay, let's get back to our drawing board once again. Okay, so there are three things that you'll have to understand. Let's start with MongoDB here. MongoDB. Okay. Now MongoDB has something called a database. This itself is a database. Let's say we'll name this. Okay, just for me to be clear, everyone, MongoDB is nothing but a database management system, right? And what MongoDB will have? MongoDB will have nothing but will have something called database. I will tell you what exactly I'm trying to explain over here. Just give me a few minutes until I complete the drawing. Okay, so we have a database, we have collection, document, and then okay. So this is how the flow or the hierarchy in your MongoDB goes. One, your MongoDB will have something called database, right? For example, I will let's say we are creating a database for a college. Okay, so we are creating a database for college. So my database name would let's say be college. Okay, or let's say university. Okay, my database name is university, right? Inside that university, what do I want to store? I want to store data of, let's say, students and teachers, right? I will have collection called students. Okay, I will have a collection of teachers. Okay. Now each student, each collection of student, okay, each collection of students will have one student, I mean multiple students inside it. So let's keep it as student 1. Okay. And let's keep it as student 2, and similarly student 3. Okay, and so on. It can go up to like n students. Okay, so it can go up to n students. So let me just put a dot here so it's easier to understand for all of you. Okay, it can go up to n students. Let's put that as well. Okay, and similar format would be for your teachers as well, that you might have teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3, and teacher n, and so on. Okay, so what is the hierarchy we have here? Your MongoDB has a database, okay, of database of what? We are trying to store a database for the university, or making a database for university. Okay, now this university will have certain collections. Okay, what collections do we have here? We have a collection of students, right, where we will store all the students data, right? It also has what, sir? It also has a collection for teachers where we will store all the teachers data. Okay, now this collection, what does this collection have, sir? This collection has nothing but the data of every individual student. Okay, of every individual student. Okay, got it? Right, we have MongoDB that has a database for the university. The university has collection for students and teachers, and of course it can have many more, probably, let's say teachers, and then staffs, and classes, subjects, whatever, it can be anything, right? And that collection has individual students data. Now this student data, right, the key value pair, that is the last level of hierarchy. The key value pair, you will have, let's say, name, right? Name will be Raj, and let's say email would be abc@mail.com, and so on, like multiple basically data, right? So whatever the students data that you store is the key value pair you will have here. Got it? Similarly for student 2, for student 3, student n, similarly for teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3, and so on, right? So this is the basic hierarchy of your MongoDB that you will have to understand. What is the very top level? Top level, you'll have database. Okay. In our case, we are taking the example of the university. So database for the university. Now this database can have multiple collections. Okay. In our case, we are taking the example of it having a collection of students and teachers, right? And then each collection has data for individual students, right? For student 1, for student 2, and student 3, and so on, right? If at all in the future a new student joins the university, student n+1 will be added here, right? Similarly for teachers, and then that document, right? That document will have key value pair. That is the last level of hierarchy. Got it? So these are the basic terminologies you'll have to understand. One is the database. It contains all the collection, right? Or let's go in a reverse order. The key value pair, right? The last level, a combination of key value pairs will make one document of one student. Okay, will make one student, right? And then what is document? Document is JSON-like object. Basically, it stores all the key value pair, and then you make one document. A multiple, a set of documents together will make a collection, and a collection together will make a database. Is it clear? Any doubts regarding this particular hierarchy that we are studying here? We have database, we have collection, we have documents, and then we have key value pairs. If you have any doubts regarding this, feel free to ask. I'll be happy to answer. Is it clear, everyone? Clear? Okay. Got it. Others? Got it. If at all you have any doubts or any queries, don't hesitate. Feel free to ask. I'll explain you everything much more clearly. So do not worry about asking questions. Got it. Let's move ahead. So this is what or the terminologies or the hierarchy of your MongoDB is. Okay. Let's move on to the next section. This is a real life analogy that I have given here. What have I given? Database is a school collection of classes, documents of students. Field would be student details. I've explained you with the example of university in my case, right? So nothing to worry about here. Let's move on. Example. Why is this not loading? Let me just refresh the page once. Got it. So this is how your document would look. Okay. The last level or the second last level, basically, this is how your document would look. Let's say it is a document for a person called or the user called Aman. Okay. We have name Aman. His age is 25. A student is false. Okay. So you can have much more data. You can have email. You can have password and so on. Right. So this is what a document is, right? Now that we have understood how you store data, and do not worry, we'll get into the hands-on part. I understand this is getting too theoretical, but you need to know these basics for us to get onto the hands-on or practical part, right? Let's understand a few restrictions and limitations of your document. Okay, the maximum size of a document can be 16 MB. It cannot be more than that. If at all if at all in any case the size of the document is going beyond 16 MB, we'll have to separate it in a different collection. Okay, we'll have to divide that data in two different collections and then basically perform like something like a join operation in MongoDB as well. Okay. Second, each document must have a unique ID field, like I told you, just like how students in colleges have registration ID. Any data set that you store in MongoDB will have will have an ID of its own. Okay. In MongoDB, it is stored with a field name called _ID. Okay. Third thing is that field name cannot start with the dollar sign. I will tell you exactly why. Okay. Next, field name cannot also start with a dot. Okay, it can be anything else apart from a dollar sign and a dot. Got it? So that is with respect to the limitations we have. Okay, now let's actually start with the hands-on part. Okay, to begin with the hands-on part, we'll have to install or set up a few things on our system. Okay, these are the few basic tools that we will require. But the very first thing is MongoDB Atlas. It is a cloud database. I will explain you what this is. We'll need MongoDB Compass. Okay, we will need MongoDB Shell. The last part is optional. If we don't get this done, also it's totally fine. Okay. So let's actually go ahead, start with the installation or the sign up process for all of these. Okay. I have opened, I will just reshare my screen once. Just a second. Is it visible, everyone? Is my screen visible to you all? yes, mention it in the chat and then we can move ahead. Yes, okay. Shiva says yes, Sanskar says yes, perfect. All right. So what will I do is I will go to my Google Chrome. The very first thing that I mentioned here was my MongoDB Atlas, right? What is MongoDB Atlas? Sir? MongoDB Atlas is nothing but it is your cloud database, right? So if you just do a simple Google search, MongoDB over here, you will be the very first website that you will find here is for MongoDB Atlas. If you just get into the website, okay, so what you'll have to do, you will have to sign up, or if you already have an account, you'll have to go into get started. Okay. Okay. Now you will have to log into your account via you can use Google or GitHub, or you can provide your email ID. Okay. So I will do it using GitHub. Just a second. Let's do one thing. I will create a fresh account with all of you so you can understand the onboarding process for this as well. Right? Let's say I click on sign up. Let's create a new account. Okay. I will do a Google sign up. I'll click on Google, and then let's say I'll use a new email ID to sign up. Okay. I'll just give all the permissions. I accept all the privacy policy, submit. Okay. What you all can do is you can follow along with the steps that I'm doing here. Okay. We can do it together since this is a hands-on session. And if you have any doubts with respect to any process or any step that I'm following here, you can just put it in the chat. Got it? So as soon as you sign up, right, you will be prompted by Atlas with some questions. Just I will give learn MongoDB. I'll just give some random answers here. Okay. We'll just click on finish. Okay, so let me give you an idea of what Atlas is. Atlas is nothing but it is a database, right? Provided by the MongoDB. It is a cloud database where you can store data. It provides you 512 MB of free database where you can store your data. Let's say for your projects, if at all you're building any projects, right? You can use this. It will be hosted on the cloud and it can be accessed from anywhere on this planet. Okay, so inside this Atlas, to create your database, you'll have to create something called cluster. Okay, so as soon as you create a new account, you will be prompted to deploy your very first cluster. If you see here, there are three options to select from: M10, Flex, and Free. Of course, we will go with the free because we are just here for the learning purpose. But if at all, you're planning to develop a production grade application, where you'll want to have real users, you can try going ahead with the paid plans. Okay, as of now, we'll go with the free. This thing. Would you say free tier that provides you 512 MB of storage. It provides you a shared RAM and it provides you a shared CPU. Got it? You can name the cluster anything. I will name it demo cluster. Okay. Now, interesting part about MongoDB is it asks you where you want to host your database. So you have AWS, you have Google Cloud, you also have Azure. So I will go ahead with the default, that is AWS. The region also I'll go with default. You don't have to worry about any of these things. Okay. You don't have to worry about any of these things. Just select the free tier and you can you can click on create deploy on the bottom section. Okay. So once you have done this, what your Atlas is doing is It is connecting. Okay. Okay, it says that your cluster is being created here, right? It might take some time for it to set up your cluster, your database, and everything. So it is taking some time. So do not worry. It might take a maximum of 30 seconds to 1 minute. Okay. Now, meanwhile, we need to do certain steps to make sure that we are able to access our database. Okay. If you come on the left-hand side, right? If you see our cluster is already ready, it took like barely a few seconds, and our cluster is ready. Okay. If you come to the side, if you come to the side and let's say we come to security, yeah, you'll have to come to security. Under security, you will have to come to database and network access. Okay. Once you come here, you will have to add a new database user. Okay. Now let's click on add a new database user. What is a database user? Database user is nothing but, let's say you have created. Okay. Okay, Sanskar. Okay. So yeah, database cluster is nothing but, sorry, a database user is nothing but you have created a database, right? Now you want to create an admin for your database, correct? In any company that you work, your database will be created, okay? And if at all you have access to the database, right, they will create a new user for you, okay? They will give you your password and everything, and then you will be able to access the database only through these credentials, okay? So that is the thing about database user. Okay. Over here, what will I do is you will have to add a password authentication. So let's say I will add a dummy password, @2001, and do not worry. After this session, I'm going to change this password so you don't come ahead and do changes in my database. Okay. Let's do @. Let's do 19. Okay. Got it. My password is same here. User description, let's say dummy user 1. Okay. Database privileges. What are privileges? Privileges basically what are the actions that you want to allow users to have. You want you want to allow the users to delete your database, to update your database, or only read your database, right? If at all you're providing database to someone else to just see it, you won't give them the access to update or delete it, right? Let's I will give this person the Atlas admin. Since I am only going to use this database, I will give the admin privileges. I can do anything with the database. Okay. But if at all you want to give specific roles, you can go ahead and update them. Okay. This is all. I have copied, made a note of my password as well. Okay. Now I will go ahead and add the user. Special character. Okay, it shouldn't contain a special character, I'm assuming. Let's remove that. Let's go ahead and add the user. The user has been added, correct? If you see here, what role do I have? I have the role of admin, and you also can go ahead and edit it and delete it and also add a new database user. Okay, this is the very first step that I have done. Okay, what is the next step that I want to do? I want to allow certain IP addresses to access my database, right? Like I told you, databases provide you a lot of options. One of those security option is you can add which IP address will be able to access your database, correct? So in my case, since I'm doing it for learning purpose, right? I think it is from add IP address. Okay, if at all you add 0.0.0.0, basically it tells your MongoDB that you do not want to restrict anything. You can access this database from any IP address. Since we are in the learning process, so I want to be able to access it from anywhere. Okay, I do not want to add any such restriction, and I will just press on confirm. Okay, it might take a few minutes to for this to be updated, but it will be updated. You can go ahead and edit and delete as well. Got it. So these are the two steps or three steps that we have done. What was the very first step that we did? The very first step is we signed up to Atlas, MongoDB Atlas. What is Atlas? It is nothing but it is a it is a cloud database that MongoDB provides you. It is free of cost. It provides you 5 to 12 MB of storage. Okay. The second thing we came up and did on this is we created a cluster, free cluster. Third thing that we did is we created a user for ourselves so we can access the database. Okay. The fourth thing that we did is we created an IP address, or we allowed all the IP addresses to be able to access this database. Is it clear so far? Any doubts? Am I going too fast with this? If at all you have any doubts with any steps, feel free to put it in the chat and I'll be happy to answer. Clear? Okay, Viru says clear. Others? I hope this is not getting too boring, because for the past 1 hour we've been doing theoretical and just been speaking. Okay. I would suggest you all to follow along whatever I'm doing, so it doesn't feel very boring, nor do you feel sleepy since it's already 9. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead. Now that this is done, what I will do is I will go back to my cluster. If you go here on the side, right, you'll have this thing expand. Go to your cluster. Okay. And what's happening? Let me just refresh the page once. Okay, so if I come to my project overview, right, over here it says that my cluster is created. Or did it not create the cluster? It did. Okay. Now let's say I want to connect to this cluster. Okay, I will press on connect. Okay. Before we go ahead and connect to our cluster, right, I would want all of you to install a second application called MongoDB Compass. Okay, it is a very small application. You come to this website, the very first website once you do a Google search. Okay, MongoDB Compass. What is this, sir? This is nothing but a GUI tool, or a graphical user interface tool that will allow you to see your data visually. Okay, got it. Whatever we will be doing hands-on today will be on terminal, but this will allow us to see the data visually in a visual format, so it is not very boring or monotonous. Okay, so what do? You come to their website, just do a simple Google search, and then click on download. Okay, so once you click on download, you will be navigated to this page. Okay, you will be able to select your operating system, whatever operating system you use. Let's say Mac OS with Apple Silicon chip or Intel chip. If you're using Linux like I do, okay, you can go to Ubuntu or Red Hat, or if you're using Windows. Okay, so go ahead, download this. It's not a very big package, it's a very small download. Once you have downloaded this, right, you will be go ahead and install it on your system. I have already installed it in my system. Got it. So this is the second tool that we would need, that is MongoDB Compass. Okay. Now, once you have installed MongoDB Compass, you will be getting an interface, something like this. Okay, let's start from the very beginning. I will open MongoDB Compass. Okay, this is how your MongoDB Compass would look. Okay, when you open it for the first time, you might not see all of these options here because I already have certain databases that I connect to. So I'm able to see that here, but in your case, it will be empty. Okay, so do not worry if it looks slightly different when compared to mine. Okay, now what do? This is your place where I want to see the data from the database that I created here. Correct? What will I do? I will click on connect. Okay. Once I click on connect, I will click on compass. Okay. You can choose other options as well. For example, if you want to choose a driver, let's say you're connecting it to your backend programming language for like example Node.js or Python or Java, you can click on this. But in my case, I'm not doing anything like that. I'm connecting it to my compass. Okay, I will click on this. Okay, here it is saying, giving you the option that I do not have MongoDB Compass installed. It gives you a installer link. Okay, in my case, I already have it installed, so I will just click over here. But if at all you do not, you know, want to do the hard work of going and doing a Google search, you can do it here itself. Okay, totally fine. So in my case, I'll just select I have it installed already. Okay, and now what it does, if you see here, it is giving me uh, the link or the URL, right? So it gives me the URL. What will I do? I will copy this URL. Okay. I will come here. I will come to my compass and I will add a new connection, right? On the top, can I zoom this in? Yes, I can zoom this in. I hope this is visible. Is compass visible to you all? Is it clear? Okay, but compass is easy to use compared to atlas. Vero, it's pretty much the same thing, right? Atlas is compass is nothing but a tool that they provide you so you can access it from your system. Okay, whatever the features that you have in compass, you also have it in atlas, and I will show it to you how it's done. Got it? I hope that's clear, Viru. So let's move back. Okay, I will right next to this connections, you will see a plus icon. When I click on the plus icon, it asks me to enter URL. I just copy the URL. I will enter the URL, but make sure in the URL they have given this thing called DB password. So change this with the password that you had created initially when you were creating the user, right? In my case, the password was aman1990, correct? And this is it. Let's say I want to give it a color of um, I don't know, let's say not green but Irish color. Okay, and that is all. I will click on save and connect. It does, it will take a few seconds and it will connect to my database, right? If you see here, the purplish or Irish color here, it has connected to my database. Got it? The same database that I'm able to see in the admin here or over here. Got it? So in this over here, right, in the cluster section, let's say you click on browse collection. Okay. Let's say you click on browse collection. It is taking some time to load. Meanwhile, let me see if there's any questions so far. Okay, even if you see here, right, everyone, we have the same set of data that I was seeing in my compass, right? We have admin, local, and sample mflix data. In my atlas, let's see if I can, make it to light theme. Can I? Yes, I can. Okay, it's better for you all. The visibility is better for all of you. Okay, so I have admin, I have sample mflix data. It is the same as my admin, and even if you see the interface, right, it's quite similar. On the left side, you have all of your collections, and on the right side, you'll be able to see the data. For example, if I open sample mflix data, right, this is nothing but a database, right? I told you we have databases. Inside database, what do we have? We have collections. So this sample mflix data has a collection of comments. It has collection of movies, sessions, theaters, users, right? Let's go get into users. Inside users, we have document for every user. So this is one document, right, with the name Ned. We have second document with name Robert. We have third document with name Jamie, and so on. Got it? How many documents, how many such documents we have? We have 185 documents. Okay. Similarly, if I come back to my compass, I open mflix data. Okay, this is my database. Inside I have collections for comments, embedded movies, sessions, users. Let's open users. Okay, inside users we have the document for every single user, right? We have Ned, we have Robert, we have Jamie, and so on. 185 documents. Clear? Clear so far, everyone? Viru, was it? Were you able to see how the similarities between Atlas and Compass? Basically, Compass Atlas is like your admin level of control you will get there. You will be able to set the users, the network restrictions. You will also be able to see the performance of all the queries that MongoDB handles, right? But in Compass, it is much more restricted access. Okay. Any doubts? Anyone else? Okay, Sanskar says okay, yes. Okay, Viru, yes. If you have any doubts, feel free to ask me on the spot. Okay. Now that we have understood, we have installed the tools, we have set up the tools basically, we will go ahead with the hands-on. Okay, we will write some MongoDB queries, we will create certain data. I haven't used Atlas before, that is why I feel like it was hard. Got it. Not an issue, Viru. If you explore Atlas, it is quite similar. There is nothing difficult on that. Okay, so don't worry about it. It's nothing complex. Okay. With that being said, let's move on to the hands-on. Okay. If you see here, right, the very last tool that I had mentioned was MongoDB shell. Okay. Now, what MongoDB shell does is it is nothing but it is your compass basically, but it also provides, but you will be able to access the database via a terminal. Okay. I hope everyone understands what a terminal is. Terminal is nothing but your, if at all I open a terminal here, this is what you would call a terminal. Okay. How would you run anything here? If at all you want to do anything in terminal, you will have to run it through commands. Okay. So that is what a terminal is. So your MongoDB shell is nothing but a terminal interface for your MongoDB. Okay. And that is what we will also be learning. We will be using MongoDB through the terminal. Okay. So how to use terminal, sir? If at all you open, if at all you just come here, right? You open any collection. On the top right side, you will see open MongoDB shell. Okay. Your MongoDB comes with an integrated shell, so I do not have to install it separately. Okay, that is why I told the last part is optional. You can go ahead and install it, but we do not need it. Okay, in our case at least as of now. Got it. So let's click on open MongoDB shell. Okay, this opens this shell for us where it is basically nothing but like a terminal. Okay, inside this you will be able to write all of your MongoDB commands and we will create all of the data and read the data and everything. We will work with the data here itself. Okay, let's come back to our slides. If you see here, I have given all the basic shell commands. Okay, let's go over the shell commands one by one. Okay, it's quite simple. There's no complex rocket science here. Okay, it might take some time for you all to remember these. That's totally fine. Okay, do not worry. So let's start with the very first thing. How do you check the existing databases? Like I told you, hierarchy. MongoDB will have database, right? It can have university database, it can have college database, and so on, right? So how do you see all of the existing database? You will do a command called show dbs, right? Let's try that here. Show dbs, and if I press enter, it shows me all the database that is present here. What is the databases that I have? I have sample mflix. Okay, if you see here as well in the graphical interface as well, I have sample mflix. Then I have admin database. Admin, I have it here. Correct, that's right. I have local database as well. I have local database here. You might ask, sir, what is this configuration? Do not worry. This is some internal settings of your this thing compass. So just ignore that. Okay. So we learned about our very first command of listing all the databases. Got it. Any issues with accessing your MongoDB compass or writing your very first command in, any issues with accessing your MongoDB shell or writing any or writing your first script on MongoDB shell? Because from here on it's going to get hands-on. I will just explain you the command. I will give you the example of the command. Okay. All the commands will be written on my presentation here. You can take a screenshot and you can keep it for your reference. Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Sanskar. Others? Clear? Okay, I'm waiting for everyone's answer. Or did it just become too complex as soon as we move to terminal? Clear? Okay. Okay. That's good to hear. Okay. All right. So let's continue. So this is the very first command, right? That you will be able to list your databases. Let's move on to the next command. Let's say you're working on sample mflix data. Okay. Now you want to change your database. You want to work on admin database. You want to work on local database. How do you change that? You will change it by using something called use command. Okay. So let's say I want to switch to use, let's say, admin. Okay, if I press enter, I get the output as switch to admin. Let me just zoom in a bit more. Okay, switch to admin. Now, if you see here in the terminal, right, I will get admin over here. Let's say I want to switch to local. Okay, I will do use local. It says switch to local. Correct, and it's saying that I'm currently in local database. Now let's say I want to create a new database. Let's go ahead with the example that we took initially of university. Okay, so I will create a new database. Use, let's keep it university university. Okay, it says that it has switched to the university database, but can you note one thing here? Even though I have created this university, just again to be clear, the use command, right? It helps you to switch to a different database. And if that database does not exist, it will create that database for you. Okay. So that is how it works. So in my case, I have switched to a database collection, a database called university. Since I did not have any database named university, it's created one, but it is not visible for me over here. Why is that? That is because the database has been created, but we have not added anything inside it. Okay, as long as you do not add anything inside it, it will not be shown in your UI. Okay, so that is one thing. Now let's go back and let's switch to sample mflix data. Okay, let's use sample mflix data. Okay, now inside the sample mflix data, right, you saw here we have all of these collections. Okay, what was the top level of hierarchy? It was a database. Every database will have multiple collections. Okay, let's see how you can list all the collections. Okay, it's a very simple command of show collections. So you do a show collections, right? If you press enter, you will be able to see all the collections here. We have comments, we have movies, sessions, theaters, users, right? And let's say you want to delete a database, you would do something called db.drop database. Okay, we will do it in the end since we have a sample database here for understanding purpose. We will create a new database in the in the coming few minutes, and then we'll delete them and we'll check. Okay, I think then you can clear the screen with CLS. Your entire screen or terminal is cleared now. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next section. Okay, let's read about the next section of inserting new data to your database. Okay, these are the core operations. So how do you define a core operation? If at all you're going for any interview or applying for any jobs, right, which is related to backend, right, you will hear this term called CRUD operations, CRUD. Okay, what does CRUD operation stand for? CRUD operation stands for nothing but create, read, update, and delete. Okay, so any system that you build in your backend, or any operation that you do in your database, will be performing one of these operations, that is create, read, update, or delete. Either you're creating a new data or adding a new data to your database. Okay, you're reading the data from the database, you're updating the data from the data, you're updating the data in the database, or you're deleting it. Okay, there are no other possibilities apart from these four. So you must have, so you will hear this quite a lot if you're a lot into your backend development, that is CRUD operations. Okay, so it is very crucial for all of you to know how to perform CRUD operations in MongoDB, and if at all you're using any other database, same thing applies there as well. Okay, so the very first step of CRUD operation is create. So we will learn how to create documents, right? So the first command that we will learn here is insert one document. Okay, so how will we do it? Let's switch to use university. Okay, I will create a new database called university. Okay, and I will run this command db dot let's say I will name the collections called users. Users, just a second. Okay, we'll have to get a collection called users, right? If you see in the diagram that we did here, the university had a collection for students and teachers, right? So let's create those two, what do you say, uh, collections. Okay, what is the command for them? Command would be db dot create collection. Create collection. What is the collection that I want to create is users. Okay, it gives me an output of okay 1, which means it has created successfully. Okay, now let's go ahead over here. I still cannot see anything over here. Let me do a quick refresh if I can see it. How do I refresh it? Okay, I'm not sure how you can refresh here. We are here, refresh database. Okay, how do you access refresh database? You right click on your database, or your collection or your cluster, and you'll be able to see your refresh database. Okay, if you see here, I have created a university database here. Okay, inside university I have the users collection, but as of now it is empty. You can see there is no data added here. Let's go ahead and add some data. Okay, how will we add some data, sir? What was the command that you were learning here? Is insert one. Okay, so how is the command? db dot db dot the collection name, that is users, dot insert one. As of now I want to insert one document. Okay, one user. Okay, and like I told you, we will be inserting the document in a JSON format. Okay, so MongoDB handles JSON format. So let's say I will give it a name of, let's say, Raj. Email would be, let's say, raj@gmail.com. Okay, and I will just insert this data. Okay, I will press enter. What do I get in return? I get acknowledged, and it is also giving me something called inserted ID. Okay, inserted ID is what, sir? If you remember, okay, someone asks a question, just like paper, pencil, eraser. Yes, Sanskar, that's one good analogy. Okay, Groot asks, sir, will we make terminal-based task manager? Yes, we will make that. Once you understand the basics, right, of inserting. If you see task manager, the one of the main reasons why to-do application or a task manager application is quite famous as a beginner project is because it implements your CRUD operation. What do you do in tasks? You create your task, you read your task, you update your task, you delete your task, right? And that is basically one of the primary reasons why we use it to uh, as a primary or the first project that you build. So we will do the same in our case as well in MongoDB. Once I give you an understanding of how you insert data and everything, we will move on to the task manager. Okay. So I hope I'm clear, Groot. I hope there's no doubts. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so it says acknowledge true. It says inserted ID. If you all remember what is inserted ID or what is ID, every document that you create or every data you store will have a unique identification. What is that identification? It will be ID, right? So through that ID, you can identify the document. Okay, so when you were adding a new user or a new student, MongoDB will handle this creating ID to itself. It will assign a new ID to this document on its own. You don't have to worry about that. Okay, and MongoDB will make sure that the ID that it is creating is unique as well. Okay, so let's come back to our users collection, or you can come, navigate it from here as well. If you do a refresh, if you see a refresh icon here, I get my very first document, that is underscore ID. It has an ID. It has a name that we added. It has an email that we added. Got it. And one interesting thing, or the interesting thing about this compass, is that you can update the MongoDB data directly from the GUI. You don't have to run the commands, right? For example, if I just click on edit here, I can edit, this one from Raj to Raj1, and I can add a field as well. Let's say password. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5, and I can just press on update, and it has updated the data for me. Okay, so this is the other advantage of your compass, that you can update everything, and you can perform everything that we are going to do through shell, where you can delete the data as well. If you see here the delete icon, right? You can add more document from here, insert document. You can add it from a JSON. If you have JSON data stored from somewhere, or CSV file, you can add them also over here. So this is quite versatile if you're managing the data, right? So this is it. So this is how you would add data to your database, right? If you see here, if we take the university example, we have university as the database. The university has users as the collection. Why is it called a collection, sir? It is called a collection because it has multiple users in it. Okay, collection is nothing but a collection of all the documents of the user, right? I have Raj will have multiple users in the future. A collection of them would be called a collection, right? Now the individual data, the data of one particular user that you store, is what you would call a document. Okay, and inside the document you will have the key value pairs. Okay, and that is what you would call the fields, right? So this is what it is about with respect to hierarchy. I hope it is clearer to you all with the hands-on example. Anyone who's having any doubts with this so far? Is it clear? If it is clear, just drop a good to go in the chat, and then we'll move ahead. Okay, Viru says clear. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move ahead with the basics of the MongoDB compass, or the shell being clear to you all. Let's go ahead and build our project that we were planning to build, that is a task manager. And along the way, we will be learning all the commands that I have mentioned here. All right. So what will we do? Let's go back to our compass. Okay. And if you see here, right, whatever operation that I'm performing here, okay, my user is getting updated, right? If I come back to my atlas, right, and if I, let's say, refresh over here as well, uh, refresh database. Okay, if you see in atlas also, right, I have gotten my university, and inside my university I have users, and inside users I will have Raj, right? So like I told you, Atlas is nothing but it will provide you a cloud storage sort of a thing for your database. And that is why, since we had connected to this cloud storage, right, whatever update we are doing here is getting reflected in our Atlas. Okay. Okay, with that being said, let's get back to our shell. Let me do a CLS, that is clear screen. Okay. Now what will we do? We will create a new database. Okay. Let's actually come back to our drawing board. Just to make things much more clear. Okay. So what are we going to do? We will create a task manager database. Okay. Inside the task manager database, we will create a collection of tasks. Okay. Now let's work a little bit on what the schema or the structure of our data would be. Okay. Any structure, if at all you're working with databases, right? The structure you would provide to your data is what you would call a schema. Okay. So just remember this terminology of schema. Okay. So from now onwards, we'll call it schema. So what will be the schema of our database or the documents that we create? It will have an underscore ID, which is by default. Okay. It will be an object ID. Okay. Right. What is the next thing it will have? Let's just make it in the new line. What is the next thing it will have? The next thing it will have is, let's say, task. Okay. It is going to be a string. So whenever you define a schema or design a schema, right, you will have to mention the type of data structure you're going to store in that. Right. So that is what I'm doing over here as well. So we'll have underscore ID, we'll have task. Okay. Let's say we will have date. Okay, let's say we'll have date. As of now, I'll store it in string itself. Okay, I will give it something like 14th or what's the date today? 27th Feb 2026, something like this in a string format. Okay, just to keep things very simple here, not too complicated. Okay, let's say we will give it a deadline. Okay, deadline can also be a string. Okay, I will add the deadline as 28th Feb 2026. Okay, done. And now let's say I want to add which is the person who this task is allotted to. Okay, let's add a user, and this can also be a string. It can be Raj or whatever. Okay, got it? Clear? Let's do one thing. Instead of naming it date, right, I will name it as created at. I will name it as created at. Why? This is a very common convention you will see in a lot of production grade applications, that created at is used. Okay, instead of something like date. So this will be the timestamp or the date when your document or your data is added to the database. Got it? The last thing we will add is completed. Okay, this will be a Boolean value. Got it? Any questions? Do you think we need to add anything else apart from whatever I've mentioned? If you think I need to add something else, feel free to drop it in the chat. Because I feel it's quite enough for our use case as of now. Is it clear, everyone? Do you think we need to add anything else as well? Feel free to drop your suggestions if you think we need to add something else as well. Clear? Okay, clear. Okay, that's enough. Okay. All right. Thank you, Viru. Thank you, Scars. I hope I'm saying that right. Okay. So this is my document, or this is my schema as of with respect to my task manager. Okay. Let's go back to our shell. Okay. What will I do here? I will create a new database. How do I create a new database? I will do use and I will write the database name. Okay. I will name it as task task manager. Okay. Now inside this task manager, I will do a db dot create collection. Okay, what will this do? This will create a new collection inside my database. What is the collection name that I want to give? This will be the collection. I want to name it as tasks. Okay, tasks. Sorry, it has to, I think, go inside the bracket. Tasks. Okay. Now it says that, okay, your collection has been created. How can I verify it? I can come to my collection. I can come to my cluster here and I can do a refresh. Okay, if you see here, task manager has been created and there is task inside it, but there is no data as of now. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's insert the data. Just make this a little bigger. Okay, let's insert the data. How do I insert the data, sir? Make sure you're inside the task manager database. Okay, make sure that you're inside your task manager database, and we will do db dot the collection name. What is my collection name, sir? My collection name is tasks. Okay, tasks dot I want to insert one document. Okay, just to make everything easier for you all, if you press shift plus enter, right, you will be taken to the next line, so we can format everything much better over here. Okay, so I will add one object. What will this object contain, sir? But the object will contain underscore id, but underscore id, like I told you, MongoDB will handle that. You do not have to worry. Okay, let's add the task. Okay, task, let's say the task is studying, or let's say reading. Let's name it as learning MongoDB. Okay, shift plus enter, I'll be taken to the next line. Don't press enter, else your command will be executed. Okay, the next thing is created at. So created at, let's give it a string of what is the date today? 27th Feb 2026. Ideally you'll have to put a date here, but it's fine. Since it's just for example purpose, we don't have to worry about it. Okay, the next thing is the deadline. Okay, deadline, what is the deadline, sir? Deadline will be of tomorrow, that is 28th Feb 2026. Shift enter to get into the next line. What is the user? Let's name the user. Let's say the user is Raj. Okay, and then if it is completed or not is completed by, since it's a boolean value, and whenever you create a new task in your to-do list, by default it is unchecked, right? Which means by default it is not completed, which is very obvious, right? So by default is completed would be false. Correct? What have I done? db.tasks, that is my collection, dot insert one. Okay, I will add the tasks here. Task created at deadline user and is completed. If I press enter, it says that it has successfully acknowledged my command and it has inserted and provided it an ID of this. If I go back to my tasks over here, if I do a quick refresh, you will be able to see my data here. Right? Quite simple, nothing complex. Okay. Now let's do the next set of command. I come back over here. If you see what is the next command that I have, the next command that I have here is nothing but insert many. Over here we learned how to insert one document, right, or one task. Let's say we want to insert multiple tasks in a bulk fashion, right? How do we do that? Same thing, db.collection name. What is my collection name here? Collection name is tasks dot. So initially we did insert one. Okay, now we will do insert many. Insert many. Okay, now what do I want to add? I want to add a list of tasks or list of data. How do you add anything in a list? Very simple answer, you would add it in an array. Okay, now inside the array I will add all of the data here. I'll have to probably write it again, so I'll just do it very quickly. Task would be workout created at okay, I pressed enter by mistake. That's my bad. I'll just go ahead and delete this again. If you see, I just press enter and it created the partial, document for me. So I'll just delete that. I'll go back. I'll just create it again. Just copy this. Just copy the entire thing. Okay, we have created that. Then we have deadline of 28th. I hope you all doing this on your own as well, right? It's it's a hands-on session. So if you just see me doing this over here, it's of no use basically. Let's say the user is Raj itself and is completed as false. Okay, I'll just copy this first task. I will come here. I will add the second element to my array. Okay. Let me just copy this, paste it here. Okay, it's not pasting. Okay, so my second task is workout. My third task would be, let's say, sleep. Okay, so these are the tasks. I press enter. Now what is it saying? It is saying that it has acknowledged my command. Okay, and now instead of inserted ID, it is giving inserted IDs. Okay, it is giving a list of IDs, the first ID being this, the second ID being this. Let's go back to our tasks. Let's refresh and we will be able to see 3 data here. Okay, we have learning MongoDB, we have workout, we have sleep. Okay, so this is with respect to adding the data in bulk or inserting many data in a bulk. Okay, now let's say we want to get all the data. How will we get all the data, sir? Let's do a quick clear screen over here. Okay, what is the command? Command is db.collectionname.find. Okay, so db.collection name would be tasks.find and just give it a bracket. Okay, so I've written the wrong spelling. It's FIND. I just press enter here. You will be able to see that I get the entire data in a JSON format. Okay, the first one being learning MongoDB. Okay, second one being working out, third one being sleep. Okay, now let's do one thing. All the tasks that I've added here belongs to user Raj. Okay, let's say I do a clear screen once again. I will do db.tasks.insert1. Okay, and I will insert a task for let's say myself, Aman. Okay, and let's say the task would be teaching. Okay. Okay, I think I do not have to add this ID. My bad. Okay, what is the error I got here? I had added the ID as well, and then a document with the same ID was already existing. So it threw me an error that you cannot have duplicate IDs, right? Like I told you, IDs are supposed to be unique. Okay, if I press enter here, it says acknowledge true. Okay, if I do a quick refresh, I will get my task as well. Okay, now interesting thing, just keep a note over here, right? I will run the same command db.tasks.find. Okay, if I do a find, how many tasks am I getting? I'm getting 4 tasks. 3 belongs to Raj, 1 belongs to Aman. Now what I want to filter out all the tasks that only belongs to Aman. Okay, that belongs to me. Why? Because the tasks that belong to Raj, it's not really relevant to me. What will I do with that? Right? So I will run the same command db.tasks.find. Now instead of just giving an empty bracket, right, I will add an object, and inside the object I will add the criteria to add my filter. Okay, what do I want? I want to make sure that the user whose data I'm fetching should be none other than Aman. Okay, I press enter. In fact, I'll just clear the screen so it's visible to all of you properly. I'm doing a db.tasks.find, and the filter would be the user should be Aman. It returns only one single document rather than returning everything. Okay, so this is how you would perform a filter operation in your get query. Clear so far? Okay, paste is not working. Okay, Viru, you'll have to figure out if it is a Windows system. You'll have to do probably Control Shift V. Okay, or probably I'm not sure if right click works or not. So if I do this, right click, yeah, you can do a right click copy paste if the shortcuts are not working. Okay, I hope that's clear view. Okay, everyone else, is it clear that you able to did you all understand how we insert the data, single data, multiple data, how we read the data, how we filter the data that we are reading? Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. Just a second. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next command. Okay, we learned about insert one document, insert multiple documents. We also learned about get all documents. We also have get single document. Okay, so what if I run the same command that I just ran? Let me just do a clear screen, CLS. Okay, if I, and just a shortcut for running the previous command, you press the up arrow in your keyboard, up arrow and down arrow. You will be able to move the previous commands that you had written. Okay, so let's move to the previous command of db.tasks.find. I want to get all the tasks that belongs to the user Raj. Okay, I do this, press enter. It returns me 3 documents. Okay, but let's say instead of 3 documents, you only want to get single document. Okay, in that case, what would you do? Instead of doing a find operation, you would do find one operation. Okay, when you do a find one operation, right, your MongoDB will return the very first data that will match this filter. Okay, just press enter. The very first data that match the filter is being returned. Got it? So that is with respect to find one. Pretty format, you don't have to do this. It's not necessary since your Mongo shell right over here in the compass, which is inbuilt, it already does this pretty formatting. But if at all you would have had installed it separately and then used a terminal to get the queries, you must have had you should use this pretty to format the data properly. Okay, in our case it's not necessary as such, so let's skip over this. Okay, let's we saw filtering also as well. Okay, I hope this is clear, the first section. If at all you want to take a snapshot of this, go ahead, quickly take a snapshot. I'll wait for like probably 10 seconds and then we can move ahead. You can take a snapshot of this PPT and have it for your reference. Okay, I'm assuming everyone has taken the snapshot. Okay, I'll be moving on to the next section. Let's see if there's any queries. No queries, I'm assuming. Okay, let's move on to the next section. We have understood how you can insert the document and read the document, right? So the first two part of CRUD operation, that is create and read, is done. Okay, let's move on. Let's see how you can update and delete the documents or the data. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to our terminal. Okay, sorry, it's CLS. Okay, let's have a look up at our tasks, right? So let's say, my task that is of teaching. I have created the task, but now I have decided that the deadline should be 29th of Feb and not 28th of Feb. Okay, because I'm being too lazy these days. So I just want to update my deadline. Okay, so let's go ahead and update that. Okay, so how will you do that? DB, make sure again you're in the task manager database. DB dot tasks dot update one. Okay, I want to update one, that is one document. Okay, now I want to update single document. Out of these four documents, which document do I want to update? I want to update the document that belongs to me. Okay, that is user Aman. Okay, so I will add the filter query. Okay, what will be my filter? User is supposed to be Aman. Okay, now this might get a little confusing for all of you. Okay, so just make sure you're listening to this quite carefully. Okay, when you update, right, when you update anything in your MongoDB, there are certain operations you have to perform. Okay, so I'll just give you an idea. Just have a look at what I'm trying to write here. I will perform a set operation, dollar set. Okay, what will this do, sir? This will set the particular field that I'm trying to update, right? So set, let's say I want to update which field? I want to update my deadline. Okay, I want to update my deadline. Okay, what will be my new deadline? It will be 29th Feb 2026. Okay, I press enter. What does it say? It says my query or my command has been acknowledged. Okay, did it insert anything? No, it did not insert anything. Okay, how many documents it found with the particular filter? It found one document. Okay, how many documents did it modify? It modified one document. How many it upserted? Upserted is basically there are certain conditions where you can, if at all your filter does not match, it will create a new document with that filter. Okay, so that is when upsert happens. But this won't happen by default. You'll have to provide certain options, but we will not talk about them as of now. Okay, since this is not the scope of our learning as learning in the first 2 hours of MongoDB. Okay, now let's go back to tasks. Let's do, if you see here, it's still 28th. My deadline is 28th, right? I will go ahead, refresh my database. My deadline has become 29th. Okay, so this is how you would update your this thing documents in MongoDB, right? You would run a update one command, and you will add the filter as the first argument. I hope you understand the concept of arguments, right? Any function, whatever value you pass to it, is something known as arguments. Okay, so first argument will be filter, second argument will be updates. Okay, now I did something called $set. If at all you're updating a particular field or you're adding a new field in the document, you will have to do something called set. Okay, whenever you're updating your document. Okay, similar to set, there are a few more operations. I will show it to them very quickly. Okay, in some time. Okay, now that is done. Now let's say even Raj is getting lazy. Okay, even Raj is getting lazy. Raj has 3 tasks. Okay, now Raj is saying that I want to update the deadline for all of my tasks, all the 3 tasks. Okay, what happens if I run this command? If I run update one, but the user will be Raj, what will this do? This will update the first data it finds with this particular filter. Okay, if you see here, let's give it a try. Raj, all of his deadlines is 28th, all the 3 documents. Let's go ahead, let's run this command. Okay, if I come back, I refresh. If you see here, the first task that Raj had, okay, became 29th. The others are still 28th. Okay, so this is one thing about update one. It will update only one document. Okay, let me go back. Let me just edit this back from the GUI itself. I'll update it directly. Okay, it has 28th now, 28th and 28th. Okay, we'll go back. I will run the same command. Okay, but instead of update one, I will do update many. Okay, instead of update one, I will do update many. Right? Okay, what happened? Update many. Okay, I press enter. Now what you see? You see that it has acknowledged my command. It is giving true. Has it inserted anything? No. How many documents it found? It found 3 documents because Raj has 3 documents. How many did it modify? It modified 3. Okay. And if I go back to the UI, if I refresh it very quickly, I will see the deadline has been updated to 29 for all 3 documents. Got it? Any doubts so far, everyone? Any questions, any doubts? We are almost reaching towards the end of our session and we have very few commands left. We will probably wrap it up in the next 15 minutes or so. Yeah, so do not worry about the time constraint. I would probably need 15 minutes or so and then we'll wrap it up quickly. Okay, so if at all you have any questions, drop it in the chat very quickly. I will resolve it for you all. Else, if it is clear, we will move ahead. Is it clear, everyone? Okay, Chandru says it's clear. Good to hear. Okay. Yes, Viru, that's right. But whenever you connect your MongoDB to your backend application, right, there you won't have your delete or update buttons. There you will have to write these commands only. So here it's fine, but as a backend developer, you would need this. So yeah, that's the only answer I have for you. Okay, considering it's clear, let's move on. Okay, let's come back here. Let's go back to our slideshow. We understood update one, we understood update many. Okay, there is also something called replace document. Okay, you can replace the entire document, but I do not want to replace any document here. Okay, what I want is for you all to try it on your own. Okay, try to replace the document. It's very simple. Instead of update menu, you will have replace one. You will have the filter and you will have a new document over here in this object that you want to replace. Got it? So take it as a homework, give it a shot. It's very simple. Okay, let's go ahead with delete operations. Okay, let's say Raj has decided that he doesn't want to learn MongoDB, so he wants to delete this task itself. Okay, so what will he do? He will, let's clear the screen for now, right? I will do db dot tasks dot delete one. Okay, what will I delete? I want to add a filter. If you just make sure you're not doing this mistake, not while you're learning, but not also when you're doing a job, because if you just run delete one like this, right, it's going to delete basically everything. Not delete one, but if you run delete many, something like this, right, since you have not provided any filter, it will match everything and it will delete everything in your database. Okay, so just be very careful when you're using the delete operation. Okay, so I want to do delete one. Okay, what is the filter that I want to have? I want to delete the task that is having learning MongoDB. Okay, so the task would be learning MongoDB. I hope the spelling is right. Learning MongoDB. It's correct. Okay, if I just press enter, it says acknowledged true, but delete count is 0. Where did it go wrong? Okay. task task. Okay, let me just copy it from here. Okay, I think there must have been some mistake with the spelling mistake. Okay. So db.task1 delete 1, and if you see here, the result that I've gotten is acknowledge true and delete count 1. Okay, if I go back here and if I refresh, if you see here, I have 4 documents. If I refresh, now I'll have only 3 documents. Why? Because one has been deleted. Okay, so that is with respect to deleting a document. Similarly, you also have delete many. Okay, let's say, you know, let's go ahead and update the tasks. Okay, well, let's say Raj has completed his workout and Aman has completed his teaching, so we'll update the is completed field to true. Okay, so let's do db dot tasks dot update many. Why? Because we want to update many documents. That is for Aman as well, for Raj as well. Okay, what is going to be the filter? The filter is going to be, um, let's say, the filter is going to be Aman. Well, that's the first one. Let's do update one itself. Or in fact, let me teach you one more concept here. Okay, I might be switching a little bit away, right? But I think this is the right moment to teach the this particular operation, that is and or operation. Okay. Now, as you see, I wanted to update the tasks which belonged to which had a task of workout, okay, and had a task of teaching. Okay, there are two conditions that I want to fulfill. One is Aman's teaching task and Raj's workout task. Okay, how do I do that? I can do it via or operation and operation. I think there's a mistake in this over here. This is supposed to be and operation. Okay, do you all have the idea of what and an or operation is? Do I have to explain it to all of you? Yes or no? Okay, should you have an idea or should I explain it to you? Okay, I'll just go over it once again, right? It'll be a quick revision for all of you as well. So, AND operation is nothing but, yeah, and two conditions should be true to fulfill the condition. That's right, Viru. If you have two conditions, AND operation gives you true only when both the conditions are true. If any one of the condition fails, your output will be false. But in OR operation, it's the opposite. If any one of the condition is true, the output will be true. Okay, regardless of the other condition. Okay, so in my case, what do I want to match? In my case, and for any other condition, true, it will execute. That's right, Viru. Okay, so in my condition, I want to match the task workout by Raj or the task teaching by Aman. Okay, so either of the two conditions, so I'll use or operation. Okay, so db dot tasks dot update many. Okay, because I have to update many documents. Okay, and I will run a or operation. Okay, how do you use an or operation? Inside the bracket curly braces, we will do dollar $or. Okay, now dollar $or should take two conditions or more, two or more conditions. Now, how do you provide more than one element to anything? You would provide it via an array. Okay, now inside the array, the very first condition would be my task. What is my task supposed to be? My task is supposed to be workout. I'll just copy here so I don't make spelling mistakes. Okay, so task would be this. Who is this task by? The user would be none other than Raj. Okay, Raj, comma, shift enter, do not press enter, shift enter. Okay, or this is my first condition. Now I'm adding my second condition. Task would be nothing but teaching. Again, I'll copy it from here so I don't make any mistakes. Okay, and the user is supposed to be Aman. Got it? This is my update condition. Either it should be this or this. Okay, it should match any of the one condition. If it is matching, then go ahead and update it. And what will I go ahead and update, sir? I will do a $set. Like I told you, whenever you're updating anything in MongoDB, you will have to use $set. Okay, so I want to set the existing field of is completed to true, since I have completed the task. Okay, this is my query so far. Database tasks.update many. I'm using an or operation. Okay, what are the two conditions that I'm using here? Task should be workout and user should be Raj, or task should be teaching and user should be Aman. Okay, and I want to update is completed to true. Right, this is my query. I will press enter. It says that my query has been acknowledged. Okay, how many elements or how many documents it matched? It matched 2 documents. It modified 2 documents. Okay, and if I go ahead, come here and do a quick refresh, if you see is completed has become true, is completed has become true. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Any doubts so far? No doubts? I hope the query that we used in the end was clear to you all and you have understood how to use OR operation. And in a very similar fashion, you will also use the AND operation. Okay. Okay, I'm assuming no one has any doubts. How do you push it to GitHub? Okay, you don't have to do anything. You can write all of the commands that we are discussing today, right, in a file, in a JavaScript file or a TXT file, totally fine. And you can add it to GitHub. Okay. Now, how do you add it to GitHub? That might take another half an hour if I sit and explain. I am assuming, or we are assuming that you already know how to push it to GitHub. If you do not know how to push it to GitHub, it is very simple. It's not a big task. You can just search it on YouTube. You will get the steps. Okay. It might take like, you'll find a 15-20 minutes video. You just follow that and you'll be able to push it to GitHub. But just make sure in the GitHub, right, you're adding all the screenshots and the commands that you will be performing in your tasks. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's quickly wrap it up. We are done with, conditional operation, that is and or. Okay. We are left with delete many operation. We did delete one. Okay, let's do delete many. What do we want to delete? We want to delete all the tasks that is completed. Okay, so 2 tasks are completed. So let's go ahead. db dot tasks dot delete many. Okay, what will be the filter, sir? The filter will be is completed should be true. This is the condition I'm supposed to meet. So delete all the tasks that has been completed. Press enter. Okay, it says the delete count is 2. If I go back, you see here I have 3 documents. I do a refresh, I'll be left with only 1 document because all the others have been deleted. Okay. So this is with respect to delete operation. So we have completed create, we have completed read, we have completed update, we have completed delete operations. Okay. Now, one thing that you need to note that is that we are yet to go into depth of MongoDB, as in there are a lot more things that you will learn with respect to update, delete, especially with respect to update, right? We had done $set. Similarly, you have a lot more operations. We have $push. Okay. So if I do a quick Google search here, okay, if I do a quick Google search, $set update operator, okay, you will get a basic understanding of what it does, right? You have MongoDB official documentation where where you will be given all the information about all the commands in MongoDB. Okay. So we have $set. Okay. If you see here on the left hand side, you have $increase, right? You have $increase. What it does, if you read the description, the $increase operator increments the field of the value by 1, right? For example, you have a count, you're storing a particular count. Let's say you're storing the rank of the user, okay? Or in our case, you can store how many times he has increased the deadline. Okay, if it is a number, by $increase, right? You can increase the value. If it is 1, you can make it to 2. Similarly, you have minimum. You can take the minimum of 2 values over here, right? You have unset. We have set, right? Set adds a new field or updates an existing field. $unset will remove a field which already exists. Okay, so go through it once. Over here, it is not really feasible to cover all of these in a 1 hour or a 2 hour session. This is something which might take a longer session, but in this, the whole idea of this 2 hour bootcamp was for you to give an introduction to what MongoDB is, and for you all to provide with the right direction as to where you can learn more. Okay, and if your submissions comes, if we get better submissions, probably we can have a better or more sessions in the future where I can go ahead and teach you some more intermediate level topics of MongoDB, right? So that is that. Now let's cover a few of the last things that we are left with. Okay, that is comparison operators. Okay, for simplicity purpose, what I will do, I will edit this document from the GUI. I will add a new field called procrastinated. Okay, procrastinated, procrastinated, and this will be nothing but it will be a string. Sorry, it will be a number. Where is number? Int 64. So int 32. It will be a 32-bit number, and let's say I will add 1. Okay, so procrastinated will be the number of times user has procrastinated. Okay, so Raj has procrastinated sleeping 1 time. Okay, so what is this greater than operator? CLS. Okay, so in greater than, this is basically like a comparison operator. If I want to do a db dot tasks dot find, okay, and let's say I want to do a comparison that the procrastinated field is supposed to be greater than, what is, how do you do greater than? $G and T, which stands for greater than. Okay, it is supposed to be greater than 0. I will get 1 document. Okay, let's say I will find the tasks, I will find all the tasks that has been procrastinated more than 3 times. Do we have such document in our collection? No, we do not have any such documentation. So it will return me nothing. Okay, because there is no task that has been procrastinated more than 3 times. Okay, I get an empty, I get nothing over here. Okay, so that is greater than. Similarly, you have less than. Okay, so in less than, instead of greater than, you have LT, basically less than. We also have something called greater than equal to, GTE. Okay, we also have something called less than equal to, LTE. Okay, basic comparison operator, just the way you had learned in your basics of programming. Okay, we also have equal to, that is EQ, and not equal to is NE. Okay, so not to worry if you don't remember this. I remember it so much because I use it in my everyday life. Okay, I code from morning to evening, and I use this pretty much every day. So it's basically hard coded in my brain now, right? For you all, since you are new to MongoDB, do not worry if you do not remember all of these. Slowly, by practice, it will be your second nature. Okay. And one last thing that I wanted to teach you all is projection. Okay, let's say I do db dot tasks dot find. Okay, I will find let's say all the document by user Raj. Okay. And whatever document he has, right? I just want to get the task and the deadline and nothing else. How will I do that? I will write a projection telling that, if you see here, I have mentioned it over here. I think it's in the next slide. Okay. So you will just write task one. One basically implies that you want to return that. Zero implies you do not want to return that. Okay. So task will be one, and let's say deadline will be one. Okay. If you see here, it has returned me the task and the deadline. You might have a question, sir, why did it return underscore ID? Underscore ID is returned by default. Okay, if at all you want to make sure that underscore ID is not returned, what will we do is we will do underscore ID as zero. Zero means do not return that. If you see here now, I'm just getting sleep and the task and the deadline itself. So this is how you would project the data. So one of the real world example would be if you're fetching a user's data, you do not want to fetch their password, right? You want to keep their password secure, so you won't fetch the passwords. You will project only all the data apart from password and the sensitive information. Got it? Any doubts so far? Is it clear, everyone? We are done with the session. It's almost, I've taken like 22 minutes extra, but that's fine. We have covered pretty much everything. Let's go over it once again. Okay. We understood what a database is. We understood what is the difference between what are the different types of database, why we use a database, what is SQL, what is sequential and non-sequential databases, why do we prefer one over the other. Okay. And we learned what Atlas is. We created our account in the Atlas. We did some hands-on with practicing certain MongoDB commands, right? And we learned CRUD operations, which is the core primary of anything that you would do in a MongoDB or any database, as a matter of fact, right? CRUD operation, that is create, read, update, and delete. Apart from that, yeah, basically we run the commands. Regarding that, we learned a few what do you say, other commands like comparison operators, and operators, and so on, right? And there is so much more in MongoDB, which cannot be covered in a 2-hour session, right? But I hope you've gotten a direction as to where to go, right? MongoDB has a very beautiful documentation maintained, right? If you just go to their official website and just search for MongoDB documentation, you'll basically get everything, right? There are so many more advanced concepts which you can learn in MongoDB, but this is just the beginning. I hope things are clear to you all, but if at all you have any doubts, you can feel free to reach out to me at any given point of time. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, okay. So that brings us to the end of the session. First of all, thank you so much, Aman. That was honestly an amazing session.
My
I
pleasure.
personally learned how to use MongoDB in such a clearer way. I'm definitely going to try it out myself after this.
That's
Also, a
nice.
quick apology from our sides. Session went beyond the planned 2 hours. Thank you so much for staying till the end and being so patient with us. We really appreciate it. I hope you found the session helpful and are now confident about MongoDB. If you guys have any questions, this would be your chance. And then we will just wrap it up. So it doesn't seem like you guys have any questions. So before we close, a quick reminder about the certificate. To receive your party. Okay, so we have a question from Sanskar. Um,
Okay.
it's
Sanskar,
alternative to
alternative for
MongoDB.
MongoDB would be something called CockroachDB. I've come across it recently. So I think you can give that a shot. I haven't personally used it. You can, but Superbase, I haven't used it personally, but I'm pretty sure it provides non-sequential database services inside it. Even AWS provides, non-sequential database services. but the AWS services which I have used is paid one. I'm not sure about Superbase. I'll have to probably look into it. But CockroachDB was free when I tried it. Uh, the services provided by Amazon with respect to NoSQL, non-sequential database is paid. MongoDB is free. So yeah, these are the some of the alternatives.
So,
I hope that
does
answers your
anyone
question.
else does anyone else have any question? Okay. Seems like we are good to go. So, lastly, in order to receive the participation certificates, you guys will have to create a project. You guys will have to create a terminal-based task manager as Aman did. Push it to GitHub, add the screenshots, and submit the repository link through the Google form that I'll be sharing on the WhatsApp group. You guys will have 48 hours to complete and submit your project. Make sure your submissions are complete and working. And that's it from our sides. Thank you so much for joining and spending the evening with us. I hope you had a great weekend ahead. Thank you so much, Aman.
Sure,
It
there's
was a
one
great
question which
session.
is
Okay, so thank you, everyone. Bye bye. Thanks, Aman. Bye bye.
thank you, Shiva. I think there's one question in the chat. I'm not sure.
When will be the next boot camp? So we will definitely look into it since as we noticed that MongoDB is a big subject. So we will have another session with Aman soon on MongoDB, and I will definitely tell you guys on the WhatsApp group. So stay there. So that's it from our side. Bye bye, guys. Bye bye, Aman. Have a good weekend.
Bye, bye, Shiva. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay,
Bye.
enjoy. Bye bye.